What is up, people of the world? Is Megan Alex Swimmer, aka AP3 Jumped, and every time I come here, the acoustics get even more awkward for me to deal with. But anyway, welcome back to another review for the Casa Grandes. Today I'm reviewing it's the fourth episode in the series. This episode is called Croaked, and this episode is about God, yeah, I'm so tongue-tied. It's about Dia de los Muertos, aka Day of the Dead. That's what that translates to. You know what's funny? Um, within the first few episodes of the series, the Casa Grandes has had both its Halloween episode and its Day of the Dead episode back to back, like literally. And from episode 3 to episode 4, which is this episode I'm talking about now. Isn't that crazy? Just right off the bat, we get those two holiday episodes back to back, no less. So that's really cool, and there's a lot I have to say about this episode, both about the episode itself and then some. So let's start from the beginning. Or rather, I'll just give you the plot synopsis. So, Ryan and Sid tried to teach Sid's little sister Adelaide about Day of the Dead, because her pet frog, aptly named Froggy, of course, passed away, and I guess it was like a week or so ago. Before that episode, and Adelaide, she's super upset, and so Ryan and Sid try to teach her about the holiday, but they sort of give her like kind of misinformation a little bit, and it leads to a huge misunderstanding along the way. So yeah, hijinks ensue, of course, as per usual with the Loud House universe, and there always has to be hijinks. So I don't really know where to. Okay, I guess I'll just start from the beginning. So I know I already said that. So I'll start you guys at the point where they're trying to console Adelaide, because they try to teach her about Day of the Dead, and she thinks that, oh, Froggy is literally going to come to life, and so that the whole thing about this episode is that Ronnie and Ann and Sid accidentally give Adelaide the wrong idea about Day of the Dead in general, and so they go to this guy who they go to this like pet store with a guy who who kind of reminds me of Francis from Super Paper Mario. You know, the nerdy chameleon. he reminds me of that character specifically. I don't know why. And also, he has a huge schnoz and giant nostrils, and so it has a stereotypical nerdy accent. I don't even know what his name was, but it doesn't matter. So they rent this fake frog as like a stand-in for Froggy, and so Adelaide spends the day with this fake frog, thinking that it is Froggy, and we get to this really cool little montage with her and fake Froggy. That's literally what they called him in the episode too. So yeah, after that. And while Adelaide's sleeping, Sid and Ryan take the fake Froggy back to the store, and then Adelaide is like, oh, since Froggy came back, I want to bring back some more people. I want to bring back Abraham Lincoln and two other people, I can't remember their names, but so Sid and Ryan enlist the help of Carlos to play as Abraham Lincoln, but they're telling him it's for a play. They're not telling him the real reason. They don't confess Sid and Ryan don't confess anything until near the end of the episode, but so enter Carlos, who pulls off a killer Abraham Lincoln, I'll say, and shouts to Carl Sal's Rocky 2 for like the double performance. um, a performance within a performance. Yeah, I always like seeing that, honestly, in movies and TV. So, Sid is playing as this one of their relatives. I can't remember, but she's like this old lady, and then so they're having problems with their costumes because it's actually Sid and Ronnie who are on a stack trying to dress up as a character. I always love seeing that sort of thing, by the way, where characters stack up to dress up as someone else. That's like one of my favorite things, honestly. The first time I ever saw that was in Scooby-Doo, and particularly with Shaggy and Scooby. And yeah, I just love seeing stuff like that. And there's also a costume named the Muppet Man, where a bunch of different Muppet characters dress up as this guy in a suit, and yeah, it's the same exact thing. So yeah, I I always love seeing that. But so because of that, they're not really skilled at that sort of thing. So, stacking up to for a costume. So the costume doesn't work out. They're tripping and falling all over each other, and they fall out of the costume. And Adelaide, she realizes that everything was all facade, and she screams, "I hate Day of the Dead!" And understandably so, she gets upset, and she thinks Day of the Dead is just the worst thing ever because of all the circumstances. So Sid and Rania go to Rosa, and they confess everything, and Rosa's like, "Ay, muchachas." Yeah, and so Rosa goes to she's the one who approaches Adelaide, knocks on her door, and so she's the one who tells her what Day of the Dead is really all about, and then they Rosa invites Adelaide and Sid to their Day of the Dead get together, and where everyone's wearing all this really cool makeup, and which looks really nice, by the way. I love Day of the Dead makeup in general. I just love the way that looks. And at one point they're about to get a group picture, and something neat really happens. Sorry, y'all, my throat was killing me a little bit. Anyway, so at the get-together, I forgot to mention earlier in the episode that the family member that they're remembering and paying respect to is Rosa's father. I don't remember his name, but it turns out she looks just like her father did, and her father had like the same beady eyes. Very few characters in the Loud House universe have those beady eyes, by the way, but I'm digressing. So they're actually they're reminiscing about him and Froggy. So, and also at one point they get fake Froggy back, and turns out Adelaide likes fake Froggy, and so they wind up keeping the fake Froggy. And so we're back to the get together. So they're about to take a group photo, right? And Carlitos is the little baby. He's pointing at something, and Ryan's like he's like, look at the camera, Carlitos. And when the photo was taken, both the spirits of Rosa's father and Froggy show up within the photo. That's really cool. And the reason Carlitos was able to sense their spirits was because, random fun fact, apparently young infants and toddlers can sense spirits in the dead, and I did not know that. That's really cool, I honestly. And my mom told me that because I I watched this episode twice. The second time I was able to watch it with my mom, and that's when she told me that fun fact. I'm like, wow, that's shocking, kind of. I never would have thought. I know animals can sense stuff like that, and animals are also kind of psychic in a way. but babies and infants, that I had no idea. If any of you guys knew that or not, then let me know in the comments. But so at that point the episode ends, and then everyone's like, wait, where's Carl? Because Carl, he's throwing these petals of, I can't remember what the flowers are called, like marigold flowers? I don't remember what they're called. I apologize. So he's walking all over the place. He's dropping flowers off for like a trail, and the trails are to guide the spirits to the ofrenda, the little memorial desk that's used in Day of the Dead, which also has props and objects representing what their loved ones liked and what their interests were, and also photos of the dead relatives in question. And so anyway, Carl winds up, he throws all the petals. He winds up in a completely different location. He's been walking for miles and miles at this point. And Carl's like, well, now where am I? And then zoom out, boom, in the loud house, and he winds up at the loud house somehow. That was really cool. And that's when the episode ends. So yeah, overall this episode was really good. It was it's a great way to teach audience members who may not know about Day of the Dead, excuse me, and that way they can learn more about the holiday. And also, what was I gonna say? This is also the first episode in the Loud House universe where the main topic is about death and the remembering your loved ones, because a long time ago they crew members said that they would tackle every topic except death. I knew that wouldn't be true for long, because I knew at some point they had to cover an episode about death, and lo and behold, the Casagrandes did just that, and I think it did a spectacular job on it, honestly. And so I mean, if Sesame Street can have episodes teaching viewers about death, then why not the Loud House or the Casagrandes? And once again, the Casagrandes actually did it. And I commend the crew for, doing it and pulling it off. So, yeah, let me tell you about Day to Day itself, because you might not be able to tell right away, but I'm actually of Spanish descent. My grandparents are Puerto Rican and Cuban, actually. My grandmother on my mom's side is Puerto Rican, and my grandfather is Cuban. Those two are my mom's parents. So my mom's side of the family is Spanish. However, we did not grow up with Day of the Dead, since that is celebrated in Mexican culture, not Puerto Rican or Cuban culture. And even though that's not something that the cultures of that I'm related to, even though it's not something that we celebrate, it's something that Day to Day is a holiday that I really appreciate very much. Because like a year or so ago, I was listening to a podcast with George R. Gutierrez, the creator of El Tigre and the Book of Life. He was talking about how Day to Dead, he was talking about how Mexican culture is like really the only culture that looks at death differently than most other cultures and people around the world. They look at it as as something to not be exactly sad about, and here's why. He explains that if you don't think about them, then their memory won't live on. But even if you still talk about them and keep their memories alive, even though they've passed away, their spirit is alive, and it's like they're kind of still around in a way, because you're still talking about them even after they passed on. So that's something I really can appreciate. That mindset is something I appreciate. And another thing, I didn't really know about Day of the Dead until like 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't really learn anything about it until I watched the movies such as The Book of Life and Coco. Book of Life was what really taught me like everything about Day of the Dead, and Coco, I was able to learn even more about it, and from, like I said, George Arquidedes was able to, teach me stuff about that as well, from what I've heard from him. And all in all, once again, I really appreciate the Day of the Dead holiday, and it is not Mexico's Halloween, like Sid said. It's not even close to that. Both holidays involve spirits, but it's not the same concept at all. And Sid, I love you, but sweetie, never say something like that again. Mexican Halloween. I know she didn't know better, but never say something like that again. Anyway, I think I'm done with the video. So, all in all, I really loved this episode. I don't really have anything wrong. I have nothing bad to say about it. I've covered all fronts about it, and Day of the Dead itself, and I give it a 9 out of 10. I don't really see anything wrong with it, really. I guess the only complaint that I have is just I guess I wish it was a little longer. I don't know, maybe. I'm really reaching here, but if you like this episode, then let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. And if you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you liked it, and ring the bell to be notified of future videos I make. And stay tuned for my next video, which will be, I don't have any other videos planned, but my next video will be, I have 2 more videos this month. It'll be my my Halloween Super Mario Brothers X custom level, and because that's completely done by now at the time of this recording, I just have to record a playthrough of it. And then my next video, the last video for the month, will be my 2019 Halloween special for the year, and there will be like a 5-minute skit at the end of it too. So yeah, look forward to that. Anyway, once again, I am Alex Wimmer, aka AP3Jumped. Thank you so much for watching until the end. That is it for me, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.